Hello and welcome to this special broadcast Result Day with Northeast Live. The BJP and its allies, that means the NDA, has made a clean sweep of elections to all the 9 seats in 3 northeastern states. While in Assam, the BJP and its allies won all the 5 seats for which by-elections were held. In Meghalaya, it's again the same story. The NPP and its alliance partner, the UDP, both parts of the NDA have won all the 3 seats, and as far as Mizoram is concerned, the Mizo National Front, which is a part or a constituent of the NDA, won the lone territorial seat. That means the moral of the story in short is that the NDA has swept the by-elections to all the 9 seats in 3 of the northeastern states. That is the big story at this point in time. In Assam, the BJP has won Thaura, Mariani and Bhabanipur with massive margins. BJP ally, the UPPL, has won the Tamulpur and Gusaigaon seats in the BTR also with a very, very comfortable margin. So that is the story in Assam. The BJP and its allies, part of the NDA, won all the 5 seats. And going to as far as Meghalaya is concerned, while the NPP won the Rajabala seat as well as the Mauring Kenang seat, it is the alliance partner UDP won the Mauflang seat. So again the same story, viewers. The NDA had won all the 3 seats in Meghalaya, and as I said, the lone territorial seat in Mizoram has been won by the Mizo National Front, which is an ally of the NDA. Now with that story, we have a power-packed show lined up. I have got several prominent people. Let me go straight to Shillong, where I am joined by Dr. W.R. Karluki. But before talking to Dr. Karluki, let's listen in to what Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma, leader of the NPP, had told me on the election results today.
Joined by the Chief Minister of Meghalaya and leader of the NPP, Mr. Conrad Sangma. Mr. Conrad Sangma, congratulations. Your party has won 2 of the 3 seats in the just concluded by-elections. What does this indicate?
Thank you so much, Wasbir. In fact, this election has been a mandate for this government because we and our coalition partner, the UDP, we have won all the 3 seats. So 2 have gone to NPP and 1 has gone to UDP. So it is a clear indication and a clear mandate towards the development-oriented work of this government. And I would like to thank the people of these 3 constituencies who have voted and ensured the victory of the 3 candidates of the government ruling party, which is UDP and the NPP. And I also thank all the other political parties that have supported our candidates in this election, especially our coalition partners.
Well, it's a very fascinating story in Meghalaya, because take the case of Rajabala seat in Garo Hills where the NPP candidate has won. And now, who were your opponents? Your main opponents there, 2 of the main opponents were from your coalition partners, that's the UDP and the BJP. And Congress, of course, was there. So is this going to be the trend in the state elections in about 1 year, 3 months from now?
Of course, the coalition partners are independent parties, so they obviously have the right to contest the elections. But if you've seen that the main contest in Rajabala was with the Congress. Similarly, the main contest in Mauflang also was with the Congress for the UDP. And the fight in Mauring Kenang is again with the Congress here in Mauring Kenang. So the contest had been for the candidates, whoever had won, was with the Congress. And yes, in the coming elections, we respect each individual party. But obviously, we look to work together in the future also. And there is definitely a talk that's going on where we will examine and we'll see the perspective of us fighting as one unit as an NDA government, respecting each other's space and respecting each other's constituencies and ideologies of the parties, and see where we could adjust. So that kind of thought process also is on. And we will examine. But yes, since being independent parties, everybody has a right to contest in the elections.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Conrad Sangma, you just said that the verdict, where NPP and its alliance partners have won all the three seats in Meghalaya. You said that this verdict is a mandate on the programs and policies of your government. Now, basically, what does this mean for 2023? What lessons has this verdict taught you? Does it make you much more responsible as far as performance is concerned in the next 1 year or a little more than that?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You see, every election is different, so one cannot simply link with the performance in this election and say that things are going to be fine in the next election. People will, look at every election differently. The public will vote based on the issues and the development that they see. So there is no room for any kind of complacency by anybody, and especially the government. We need to ensure that we continue working even harder than what we were earlier. And obviously, as political parties also, we need to ensure that we organize ourselves, much in advance and work much harder than what we were. As elections are always tough, so one cannot take election for granted, and it will be very wrong on our part to simply look at this result and expect that the trend will be positive in the next election. That would be very wrong on our part. So we are happy. We thank the people for the mandate and for the support they've shown in this election. But it also means that we as a government and as political parties need to work much harder.
My final question to you, take the case of Assam, where also all the 5 seats in Assam were won by the BJP and its alliance partner. The only seat in Mizoram was also won by the MNF, which is again a part of the NDA. Now it is clear that a Congress Mukt Northeast, that's what the BJP slogan has been for a long time now. So do you think that is turning into a reality slowly but surely?
The trends seem to be indicating towards that. And I don't just see it in Northeast, I think it's also throughout the country. The Congress is facing a lot of internal problems. And there's a lot of analysts have mentioned that, they're not being able to accept those issues and then address them. So yes, there is an internal organizational problem. I'm nobody to comment on their organization. I'm just giving my observations. So therefore, yes, there is a problem, and clearly these elections, if in one state it is happening, we could say, well, it's in that particular state. But if it's happening throughout the region, clearly there is a problem that they're facing, and it looks like in the future, Congress will have a lot more problems that they're having now, and it's looking like they're becoming more and more irrelevant in the political scenario in the Northeast region.
Mr. Conrad Sangma, leader of the NPP and Chief Minister of Meghalaya, thank you very much indeed for talking to me on Notice Live.
Thank you.
Okay, that was Conrad Sangma, the NPP leader and Chief Minister of Meghalaya, talking exclusively to Northeast Live. We have got Dr. W.R. Kharluki, the NPP State President, joining me live from Shillong. I have with me Mr. Raju Narjari, the Secretary of the UPPL, the alliance partner of the BJP, joining me from Gosaigaon. He is in his cars. I have well-known commentator Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta joining me from Guwahati University. We have another guest joining me soon. Before coming to you, Mr. Raju Narjari, let me go straight to you, Dr. Kharluki. What does this victory signifies? Because at the end of the day, 2 NPP, 1 UDP, that means all the 3 seats have gone to the NDA, or for that matter, the Meghalaya Democratic Alliance coalition. What does this indicate?
Well, like what our Chief Minister has said, that the people have appreciated the work that was done by our government. And at the same time, while doing the campaign, the Congress, their campaign was very negative. So everywhere I went, I told the people that, see, within 3 years and a half we are in the government, we show the people of what we have done as a party in the government. But the Congress has been ruling the state for right from the inception of the state for almost more than 30 years. Instead of showcasing of what they have done, they give a negative campaign. So I think this is why the people really give them the fittest reply.
Absolutely. I'm coming back to you in a minute, Dr. Kharluki. Let me go to Raju Narjari, the Secretary of the UPPL. Raju Narjari, what does this victory means for the UPPL and for the entire coalition in Assam? or for that matter, the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, according to you? Okay, Raju Narjari, I don't think Raju can hear me. Raju Narjari cannot hear me. Okay, Akhil Ranjan Datta, what does this victory indicate? Because we are now 5.5 months of the Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma government in Assam, BJP, AGP and the UPPL, and today we have seen that all the 5 seats have gone to the BJP and its allies. So according to you, what does this mean?
I think this is a victory for the incumbent government and the ruling alliance. There is no denial of this fact. But also remember, this is also the victory for the incumbent MLS. Even if they have changed their parties, but then the parties, particularly the 3 MLS, they had owned these elections. Now, therefore, if you look at critically, it also means that there are differences between the political parties in terms of electoral strategies. If you look at Congress, I think for Congress it is the candidate rather than the party which has been responsible for the for winning the election or for defeat of the candidate or defeat in the elections. Now, therefore, if you look at Moriani and Thaura, I think it's both a victory for the ruling alliance and also it's a victory for the incumbent MLS. I think we need to understand it very critically. And the second thing, we need to understand that BJP has multiple political strategies for winning the elections. It's not like other political parties. It has its ground networks. It has its competitive populism. But the most important thing,
Right.
and I'll underline it,
Right.
most important thing, that it
Right.
doesn't take
Akhil,
anything granted.
absolutely.
Therefore, the Chief Minister has gone to all constituencies
Right.
for several times, which probably would not have been the case had it been during Torun Gogoi's time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm now once again joined by Mr. Susanto Borgohain, the Susanto Borgohain, the BJP candidate for the Taura. He has won the constituency with a massive margin of almost 30,000 votes. Susanto Borgohain, congratulations. We spoke in the morning when you were leading, but later in the day when we are speaking again, you have won the constituency with a margin of 30,000 votes. This is a record victory. What do you think? How did it happen?
See, it's a mandate for the government led by Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma. Yeah. And other thing is that people from the constituency of Thaura has again reimposed faith on me to lead and to represent them. And this is what do you say? This is a huge this thing from their side. Whatever the confidence faith they imposed on me, I will return it back with a development work under the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma.
That is very reassuring to hear that. You are saying that people have voted you back to power, voted you, and you are going to return through your developmental work for the welfare of the people. That is something which is a very big promise. That means you will have to work doubly hard, isn't it? You will have to work extra hard.
See, this election mandate is basically the upper Assam people because there is a very less minority voters in this constituency. And basically they want a development. For that reason they have voted this time, I suppose, because last time I won by a very narrow margin when I was a Congress candidate. But this time when I recontested these elections, the people have faith on me that under the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma will do the development work, ongoing development work, and the dream what I have seen about the Thaura constituency, and I can do it in the near future.
Now, Susanto Borgohain, you see, you were with the Congress party. Now, in this by-election, the Congress has drawn a blank. Not a single Congress candidate won. Now, is this the beginning of the end of the Congress in the Northeast? Is it Congress Mukh Northeast going to become a reality?
See, the Congress has played a very suicidal game in this constituency, I mean in these elections, by-elections, because in the last 2-3 days I have seen the Riser Dal and Congress, they had an unholy nexuses, and the Congress party has diverted their most of the vote to the Riser Dal, which is very dangerous to the party. Because in elections or in an electoral process, you cannot divert your voters to the other party. Once you divert the voters, then your party will be in a very weak position in the near future. And the days are now out and over for the Congress, and the future is for the BJP. And I hope this act of diverting vote to the Riser Dal will cost the Congress party in this upper Assam in the near future.
My last question to you, Mr. Susanta Borgohain, do you think finally that it has been a mandate for the BJP and its alliance government led by Himanta Biswa Sharma in Assam? Do you think it is a mandate in the last 5.5 years, whatever your government has done in Assam, development and its policies and programs, do you think it is an endorsement of that?
Yeah, this is a mandate for the alliance, for the our Sanmilita Ganasakti led by Mr. Saringya and AGP led by Atul Bora. And we unitedly fought these elections, and we have done extremely well. Never expected to win by a margin of 30,000 votes, but expected to win by 20 to 25,000. But people's mindset was different, and they have voted it a huge, immensely, and I won is a very huge margin. So I thank everyone who has worked in the constituency and the people of Thaura.
Santa Borgohain there. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to Northeast Live. Once again, congratulations to
Thank
you.
you so much.
I'm once again trying to go to Mr. Raju Narjari, and before coming to Dr. Karluki, I'm also joined by well-known writer and commentator Mayur Bora with me in the studios. I'm coming to you, Akhil Ranjan Datta, in exactly 2 to 3 minutes. Let me go to you, Raju Narjari. What does this victory mean? It's a clean sweep for the BJP and the alliance partner, that is your party, UPPL. What does this mean?
This means that people are now tired of the corrupt governance here and the violent past under the leadership of Sri Pramod Boro and under the guidance of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma. This region has now finally is breeding peace. And people are now talking development. People can express freely without any fear and concerns. So people have voted for the progress and development here, and they have reposed faith on the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma and Mr. Pramod Boro in BTR region. So that is why people have voted, and we are so grateful to all the voters of our BTR region, especially in constituencies of Tamulpur, Bhubanipur and Kosaigaon.
Now you have Pramod Boro in Kokrajhar running the BTR administration. You have Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma running the state as the chief minister. So, do you think it is an endorsement of both the activities and programs going on in BTR under Pramod Boro's leadership and in the state under Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma? And do you think your responsibility has only increased now? People will give a close watch on you. You may have won the elections, but for the people, they will need results.
Absolutely. It's a paid reforce on the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma in the state and Mr. Pramod Boro in BTR region. And you are right in saying that yes, our responsibilities have gone up now, and we need to deliver on the grounds. And we are aware about it. And I think under the leadership of Mr. Pramod Boro and under the guidance of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, we will definitely be able to fulfill the expectations of people in next 5 years.
All right, Raju Narjari, don't go away. Give me some more time. People would like to hear the views of the UPPL after this great victory. Dr. Karluki, before coming to Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, Dr. Karluki, it is a very interesting, you see, because elections are due in Meghalaya, the state assembly elections, in exactly 1 year and 3 months from now. Now, you have seen that in constituencies like Rajabala, you had all the alliance partners had their candidates, NPP, UDP, BJP. The only odd candidate out was the Congress. Of course, the contest was between the NPP and the Congress. That's a different matter. Do you think this is going to be the trend in the coming elections 1 year from now?
Well, like what our Chief Minister has said, we would be very happy if we can, fight like an NDA alliance in the next election. But different parties have their different decision. So, but as a party, we are prepared for any situation to fight and contest the election.
What about the Congress? At the end of the day, you cannot dismiss the Congress because in most of the seats, in the 2 seats at least, it was a fight directly between the NPP and the Congress party.
Yes, we don't dismiss any of our opponent. We always take them at face value, and I will say that we always fight an election when it comes with determination to win without underestimating our opponent.
That is the right thing to do. Don't underestimate your opponent. Dr. Khaluke, I'm coming to you very, very soon. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, in the last elections that ended in April, BJP, AGP, UPPL and smaller parties were on one side. On the other side, it was the Congress, Mahajot so-called, where they had the AIUDF and the other alliance partners. Now the point is, and the Bodoland People's Front, now the point is both the BPF and the AIUDF are out of the Mahajot. Congress has drawn a blank. Do you think this is the end of the Congress story in Assam?
I don't think so. If you look at the Indian politics very closely, particularly the electoral politics, you find electoral cycles. If you look at, for example, in the first decade of the 21st century, it was a kind of cycle in favor of the Congress. In most of the states, even of regional political parties, whichever was in power, they were winning election one after the other. Now, this is the BJP chance now. They are in Assam, they have completed the first tenure. They are starting the second tenure. Maybe they'll also go for the third tenure, as it was happening in case of Tarun Gogoi government. Therefore, what I understand is that electoral cycles we need to understand. And the second one, and that is very important, BJP's politics, electoral politics and preparations have been always very, very competitive. As I mentioned in the beginning, that they never take anything granted. And I talked about, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma going to every constituencies several times and, campaigning for his party's candidates or for his allies' candidate. And that is not happening in case of the opposition parties, particularly for Congress. Congress, particularly in Assam, has been passing through a phase of depression now. And they'll take time to revive themselves, including at the national level. And the third thing, and that is also very important, and I mentioned it, as far as Thaura and Morian is concerned, as I mentioned that, for Congress party, particularly in the state of Assam, it is rather than the party, the candidate is more important.
Right.
Sushanta Borgohain was winning the election last election.
Candidate.
It's more for himself than for the party. Now, in this particular election, there has been a combination. You have the party, BJP, which is helping the candidate, and candidate is also, has its own stake or has its own capacity of mobilizing his own voters. And third one definitely is the fragmentation of the opposition vote. I think all these have contributed towards the victory of all candidates, fielded by the ruling alliance.
Right. Okay, we have to fix that audio with Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta. I'll not take much of your time, Akhil. Just about 10 more minutes I want from you. But in the meantime, let's reconnect with you. Let me turn to you, Mr. Moyur Bora. How do you view the election results? Do you think that was expected? What does it mean for the BJP and its alliance? And what does it mean for the opposition that is led by the Congress?
See, Wasbir, more or less the result that has come today was on the expected lines. But one thing, the margin and all, especially in Morioni and Thaura, I also did not think that they would have won by such a huge margin. 3 takeaways I have taken from this by-election. Whether we like it or dislike it, that's a different issue. But the indelible stamp of Himanta Biswa Sharma as a hands-on chief minister and as a hands-on star campaigner for BJP and their allies, I think that has become unscattered and that has become invincible now, at least for the foreseeable future. That is the point number 1. I think people are not much concerned about that they are more concerned about the end, not about the means. They are not concerned about the propriety that Mr. Talukdar, Mr. Borgohai and the other gentlemen, Mr. Kurmi, have passed over. They have come from Congress and BJP, then again contested with a new party. They are not concerned about that, because the margin by which all the three gentlemen won, that shows that people are concerned more about the good governance that they are expecting from the government led by Himanta Biswa Sarma. And third important thing is the growing irrelevance of Congress party. The growing irrelevance, I think it is more or less synchronizing with what has happened in the national level. I think the lack of energy, lack of imagination that we see in the central leadership right now, we have seen how it has happened when Kapil Sibal through they some sort of threat to the main party led by that famous family, Gandhi family. We have seen how other Congress party fall over each other just to attack him personally and all. Secondly, here also what we have seen, there is hardly any barring for the Congress chief Bhupen Bora's few say campaigns and some of the meetings that he has attended, and tries to be very, very aggressive while attacking the narrative set by BJP and Himanta Biswa Sarma in particular. Apart from Bhupen Bora, I think other things, they are very listless.
Absolutely.
They are very tired and exhausted. So these three things are very sure, and people have also, I think they have taken into account whatever role, whatever this thing the new government has taken in the last 3-4 months, especially the campaign against the drugs and the brokers, the land dalals and all.
Absolutely.
I think that has gone well with the people.
Okay, I'm now joined by Ms. Patricia Mukim, well-known commentator, editor of the Shillong Times. Ms. Patricia Mukim, all the 9 seats in the 3 northeastern states, 5 in Assam, 3 in Meghalaya and 1 in Mizoram have gone in favor of the NDA. So, do you think that this is the beginning of the end, or do you think this is going to be the beginning of the Congress Mukh Northeast, or do you think that has already happened?
I won't pass that judgment, but I think the Congress has to reinvent itself, because, change is the only constant. And if you remain in the same mold, actually the Congress doesn't know whether it is, left of center or extreme left, because it seems to be playing this double game, and therefore it's not clear in its ideology. And it spends most of its time just attacking Modi, but not doing anything that is, that shows itself as a contender to the BJP. It's always playing catch up. So, and then because there is no revamp of the party at the national level, because there are no elections. As I said earlier, if you are in a democracy, even your elections within the party should be democratic, in the sense that up to the highest level a person should be elected. This dynastic thing doesn't work anymore.
Absolutely. Dr. Khaluki, Kongpat, stay on for a few minutes. Dr. Khaluki, these election results, two going to the NPP and 1 to the UDP, do you think you are going to take into account these victories while selecting candidates? Do you think it is going to be a tough call for you, fixing up your coalition candidates for the actual elections or the state assembly elections in about a year from now?
Well, for me, every election is a tough call. At the same time, we have been preparing ourselves for not only that when we are in the government, we let our guard down. We never let our guard down. Even now, I was sitting here, I was planning for 2023, how we move because of this result, how we move in different constituencies. So this is what we do.
So, what is the lesson learned out of these elections, Dr. Khaluki?
Well, what I learned from this election is that negative campaign won't help anyone. You have to be positive. You have to tell the people what you are doing. That's why I'm telling you that we are 3.5 years into the government. We told the people of what we have done. And that is the reason why they give us this support. And like I said again and again, it doesn't mean that just by winning these 3 seats that we'll win the 2023 election. We have to work very hard. We are preparing ourselves. Only then we can win the election.
Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, you see, Dr. W.R. Khaluki Rajya Sabha MP and president of the NPP, has made a very significant point. He said that negative campaign does not work. Now, we had Mayur Bora in the studio who said that the Congress was extremely aggressive in attacking the BJP-led government in Assam. So, do you agree to this view that negative campaign always does not work? You have to talk about what you are going to be, what you are going to do. And do you think the development agenda of the BJP led by Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma did the trick as far as the BJP and its allies in Assam?
Okay, I agree to the view expressed both by Karluki and also Mayur Bora. But it's more than that. It's not only that aggressive campaign didn't help. Yes, aggressive campaign didn't help because they didn't have an alternative agenda to convince the people. But more than that, we need to remember that Congress is a party where the leader is important. BJP is a party where both the leader and the organizational strength is equally important. And that is the difference. Now, when they talk in terms of leadership, BJP, that's a collective leadership. Even if Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma is in the forefront, but at the grassroots, they have the organizational rank, both of the party and also other affiliates, including RSS. Therefore, we need to keep in mind this very important dimension. And the second one, when Congress and many other regional political parties, when they are out of power, the party doesn't have the capacity of mobilizing and strengthening its organizational network. And this is, as I said, the dependent on the leadership, dependent on the patronage given by the leadership. And that is one of the very important weaknesses on the part of the Congress.
Right.
And I think, therefore, if Congress wants to come back, that is, they are not going to come back with the kind of strategies that they have been following today. It has to go beyond the kind of strategies that they have been following today.
Right. Right.
Wasbir, I have to make a small point here about
Yes,
Congress. What Akhil is telling that leadership is important. I also said initially, leadership is very, very important if you want to take the party or if you really do not want the party to go up. But the more important thing for a party like Congress, which is a centrist party with some of the left of the center bias, that's what they claim. I doubt to what extent now they are left of the center. But the main issue for anyone who is not leftist or rightist per se, like BJP or CPM, CPI, the main problem is when they are outside of power, it becomes very difficult for them to keep their cadre like very, very active and like dedicated and disciplined as the leftist and rightist parties do. So that's a structural problem with the centrist party, which has been manifested very, very clearly now because of the leadership issues that the Congress party is facing at national level as well as to some extent in state level.
Yes, Akhil, you wanted to say something, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta.
I agree to what Mayur said. That was the point I was telling, that for Congress, because it is dependent on the party rather than the organizational strength, that is one of the very important weaknesses on the part. I don't differ from what Mayur has been pointing out.
Right. Raju Narjari, nobody seems to be talking about the Bodoland People's Front. It's just a UPPL all the way. And the Congress also is nowhere in the picture as far as the Bodo heartland is concerned. So what do you think are the main reasons?
Wasbir here, historically there has been no presence of the national parties last 30-40 years. It has always been a regional party here in Bodo heartlands. You're talking about BPF after 17 years of misrule and all that. I think nobody wants to now vote for BPF, and they're also confused whether they want to be part of the Mitrozone or Mahazone. Sometimes they say that they want to be part of the UPPL-led coalition government in BTC. Sometimes they want to be in the opposition. So they are confused. When the party itself is confused, who will vote you? But I still would request the people in Congress and BPF, one defeat does not make them totally absent from this region. they should play the role of a constructive opposition. They should not be disheartened.
Yeah,
Elections will be won, election will be lost. So
Raju
I
Nazri,
am.
you are very magnanimous in victory. You are very magnanimous in victory. My next question to you, obviously, will be now it is very clear that on many occasions the BPF leader has said that they would like to join the BJP-led coalition in the state. They would like to join the UPPL-led government in the BTR region. So, is there a possibility really? Do you think there is a possibility like that?
In politics, everything is possible, Wasvita. But what I want to say that many of us in the EPPL were not original politicians. We are from a very revolutionary backgrounds. We were activists. So for us, the principle matters. So if they want to follow the principles of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, of Mr. Pramod Boro, follow the footsteps of not indulging in corruptions and violence, then not only BPF, anyone is welcome in this coalition.
I'll go
But
for it.
minus.
Right. I'll go for a very
Yes,
short break. When I come back, I'll go to Mayur Bora for additional perspective on this election, and of course to Dr. Karluki and Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, Raju Narjee. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Let me go straight to Dr. W.R. Karluki, the president of the NPP in Meghalaya and, of course, a Rajya Sabha member. Dr. Karluki, do you think now your government will have to play a much more proactive role, much more development, it has to become much more development oriented, has to ensure that COVID is kept under control, has to ensure that business and economic activities have to carry on and at least get back to the normal level after this verdict, because people's expectations only increases, isn't it?
Yes, Wasbir, this is actually a promise to the people in 2018. And if we want to come back to power in 2023, we should keep with our promise, we should keep our promise and do what we have promised to the people. And we should work for the interests of the people. Only then we will be able to come back to power in 2023.
Mayur Bora, now, do you think this verdict, 5 by-elections, all the 5 seats going to the BJP and its allies, the BJP and its allies in Assam had a strength of 75, now their strength has gone to 80 in the 126-member assembly. Now, what do you think it is going to have, what kind of an impact it's going to have on the Himanta Biswa Sarma government? Do you think he has to live up to the expectations which he has already generated, when he won the elections, the April elections, and now again, the people have reinforced their faith in his government. So what does this mean? What do you think he will have to do?
Yeah, see, what I have seen Himanta Biswa Sarma just before the general election and even now, last 6 months he has been working on a campaign mode. As if suppose a political party leader, when he was leading a campaign, that time also he will be working most of the time 24 hours a day. But now also I have seen, and many of the officers have also told many of the ministers from their face, you can make out that how fatigued and tired they are. My only fear is they should not run out of steam. But what the Honorable Chief Minister is telling about that taking Assam to the first 5 states of India, but in many of the parameters as of now we are lagging behind. We are maybe in 15, 16, 17 rank. So now the time for delivering what he has been promising, and that time has come. And in the present context, in the present political leaders that we have been cutting across political parties, I think Himanta Biswa Sarma, there is no denying the fact that he is the man who will be able to deliver, provided he puts his focused and dedicated attention to the promise that he has made to the people of Assam, not only now, but also when he was in Congress, because he has been telling for last more than a decade that he wants to see Assam in the top 5 states of the country. Now, having won, having his seat tally going up in the assembly and all. Now I think people expectation will be far more intense, and they will want a more proactive government, and whatever has been promised, much of the thing, if not all, should be translated into reality.
Let me turn to Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta on this. Now, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, do you think actually only now that the election mode in Assam is over, Assam is no longer going to be in an election mode for some time to come? Do you think now, as Mayur has said, do you think the main responsibility, main focus of the Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma government, he has of course been saying in the last 5.5 months that these are the promises we have made. I have already started fulfilling many of these promises. Now, he has done so actually. One of the main promises was to reduce or to waive off the microfinance loans, which he has started the process. He has said that he will be evicting people who are encroaching on government land. He has started the process. Do you think he will be in a much more scrutinized, people will be scrutinizing his work or his development programs much more now?
Let me start with a lighter vein. I think he will not be imposing any more by-elections in the state, because he was telling at some points that this is not the first time that by-elections are happening. More by-elections may happen. And if it happens, I think this will be a kind of challenges for his own leadership itself. Now, Mayur has pointed out certain very important things. I think the Chief Minister has promised has given a lot of promises, and because of his long experience as minister and also his efficiency and hard work, have convinced people that he can do something really, really very substantive in terms of transforming our economy or bringing about substantive changes. Here, I think we need to focus on certain very important things. Populism, the kind of populism that this government has been indulging, for that matter, the former Congress government was indulging, is not really going to help us to come up in the parameters of development that Mayur Bora was just referring to. I'll give you only one example. Look at health and well-being. If you look at SDG 2021, Assam was worst performing in the health and well-being parameter. I think this is an indicator that we have to go beyond populism. I think that is one of the important challenges before the Honorable Chief Minister, and he has to focus more on productive activities, more on transformation of structural things which are happening around or which are hindering the process of development rather than on populism. The second point, and very shortly I'll tell, that the kind of politics of polarization which has been happening, that may also be an hindrance or obstacle towards kind of vision that Dr. Himanta Biswa has been offering to us. I'll expect that this will be the last Majuli election is yet to happen. There will be another by-election, of course, but there will be no forced by-elections, and the administration and the Chief Minister will be concentrating more on development and development of this substantive nature rather than populism.
Okay, I just have about 7 to 8 minutes left. Dr. Kharluki, your final comments. Where is the coalition heading? Will you be having some difficulties in accommodating the hopes and aspirations of your coalition partners, because when election comes everybody wants the tickets, and you have some very, very active and vibrant coalition partners like the UDP. The BJP has also been quite vocal over several issues in the past several months. So do you think that is going to be an easy task for you, or do you think it is a lot of jugglery will have to be done?
Well, what I find is that our coalition is very, very smoothly run. So I don't see any problem, because we always try to solve our problem by discussing among ourselves. So any problem that come underway, we always believe in a discussing, and that's why I don't think that there will be any problem for us.
Absolutely, a very confident president of the NPP there, Dr. W.R. Kharluki, a very veteran political leader. Now, Raju Narjari, final comments. What do you think? Do you think, I'm asking you very, very clearly, you said you cannot rule out anything in politics. Do you think you will have a broad-based opposition-less almost kind of a situation in the Bodo heartland? Do you think the Bodoland People's Front will come and join or at least back or side with the UPPL? What are the possibilities?
First of all, I would like to see a very vibrant and active oppositions in Border Territorial Council. We would not like a zero opposition kind of a house, but any individual or any party who believes in our principles, who wants to kind of play politics on issues of this region and address the concerns of the people, they are most welcome to join us. But I think once they come to our coalitions, they will have to abide by the principles and policies of the coalitions.
Absolutely. Let me turn to Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, final comments. Elections happened, results on expected lines. NDA has swept all the 5 seats in Assam.
I only appeal for peace, harmony, and development. If those could be the priorities for the government, and I think the vision that the Chief Minister has been talking about, for that matter, the UPPL has been talking about, they'll be in a position to achieve it. I wish all the newly elected members the best for their remaining period of their tenure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mayur, your wrap-up comments.
Yeah, I echo the thoughts expressed by Akhil Ranjan Datta on most of the issues, and especially at last what he has said. I would only like to highlight 2 things I think what the Honorable Chief Minister should avoid now. 2 P's, the politics of populism and politics of primordiality. Now I think this is the time for him to deliver, and he has got adequate mandate for that, and more importantly, he has got the public goodwill as of now. So he should not squander it by playing to the gallery in respect of some populist measure all the time, or maybe some primordial or polarization issue. I think Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma can do it, and he should do it now. And I think he should be able to deliver. Only thing he has to avoid being, and all the time, sometimes I fail to understand, he should also, that cabinet governance model that has been enshrined in constitution and other statute book also, the other ministers should also play some more active role, so that the burden ultimately on the chief minister will somehow come down.
All right, Mayur, that comment of yours may be contested, where you seem to indicate that the other ministers are not doing enough, but the
no, it appears. See,
yes, but
Wasbir, justice should not be done, but it should appear that justice be done. That's what my point I am trying to make.
Right. The counter could be that the Chief Minister and his cabinet colleagues are meeting every Wednesday, every week, which was not the practice in the past. Anyway, let's not go into all that. Today, the big story at this point in time, the big story today is that the NDA has made a clean sweep of all the 9 seats in the 3 northeastern states of Assam, Meghalaya and Mizoram, and the BJP strength on its individual tally has gone up from 60 to 63 in Assam, and the alliance partners tally has gone up from 75 to a whopping 80 in the 126-member Assam Assembly. And as far as Meghalaya is concerned, the NPP has consolidated its strength, bagging 2 of the 3 seats into its kitty, and of course the other alliance partner, the UDP, winning 1 seat, and again in Mizoram, the MNF, that is the ruling party and an NDA ally, winning the lone seat in Turial. And this result is going to leave a lot of introspection within the main opposition Congress party in the coming days. They have a lot of soul searching to do, but I'm sure they are going to do it. But whether they're going to achieve success will depend on what kind of a strategy they adopt. And at the end of the day, a lot of people, including our panelists today, said that they would prefer a vibrant and active opposition. I leave it at that. This special broadcast on election results on Northeast Live, and we will come back with more stories on the election and its impact in the days ahead. Thank you.